22:11, it's UCB2. My guests today on the show, aside from Kelly Cassidy, bringing us an update with regards to what's happening in the news, is Out of the Ashes, a husband and wife duo, along with a whole big band, who have not been able to make it up from Gloucestershire today, unfortunately. Maybe another day we'll get to meet them. But Kevin Washburn, who plays the guitar, and Penny Lyon, who does the vocals and the lyrics, are here in the studio. Hello again.
Hello again.
Hello, everybody.
So we got to hear one track from your very first album, and then another brand new track. Yay! These stories, these songs are really based on stories of what God is doing in your life, Penny, and in your life as a couple, in your life as followers of Jesus Christ. Your heart and what you felt called to do is to encourage and uplift the church and the body of Christ. What is it that you saw in the church that made you feel like this is where God has called us? Why did you feel there's the need for lyrics like this that really encourage and build up the body of Christ, Christians?
That's a really interesting question, because it's making me realise something. I didn't see any of the things that I'm writing about. God started showing me I think God showed me through what we write as much as I saw and therefore wrote. Does that make sense? So, for example, I was talking to you about the church growing old. We are an ageing community, that more people over 80 than there are under 20. That had never really entered my head. I just had the scary moment when you walk past the scaffolding and nobody wolf whistles, which I'd complained about when it happened. But when you get to an age and suddenly realise that doesn't happen anymore, you suddenly think, okay, that's the door closed. I'm growing old. But of course, what God has been showing me is that he has such a heart for the wisdom and experience that comes through years on this earth. Satan has such a desire to tell us that we don't count, we don't matter, you can't sing. There are all those lies that Satan loves to tell us. Be afraid, feel useless, feel valueless, because they devalue us as servants of God. And we need to actually cast off those robes and put on the mantle of God's grace. And God's grace is courage and value right the way till the day you die, etc.
Amen. Well, that's what Closer to You, one of your tracks that you've just recently recorded, is all about. Now, I know that we were actually going to play another song, but I'd love for you to tell us a bit about the heart behind this.
Okay.
It sounds like it kind of underpins all that you do and your focus at the moment and your calling, really, to remind people that it doesn't matter how old you are. If you feel old, God can still use you no matter how old you are.
Yeah.
I mean, look how old Noah was when God told him to build the ark.
And Daniel,
many years.
And you name it. There were so many that God used in there. And I think the word would be dotage. I'm not quite sure what dotage means, but it gets bandied about whenever anybody talks about being older.
Well, my children did say, my son asked me how old I am today. And I will let you know that I am over 40, right? So
You're
goes,
a baby, mate.
I am, you're right. But I must say, I do remember many years ago thinking that 40 did sound absolutely ancient. And he, in his 9-year-old little boy voice, was like, whoa, that is really old, Mom. So, yeah, at the age of 9, 40 does sound a very, very long, far away.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so this started, I'm talking to an audience out there, and I'm going to ask you how many of you remember. I can't see you putting hands up, but I'm going to ask you, can you remember that when you were 15, you did not believe you would ever grow old? Most of us don't. 50, because old, when you're 15, is a complete other species. And I certainly, when I was 15, thought that I would never grow old. It was just a kind of lie that was spun by this other species that I seemed to be surrounded by. And I got to 20 and then 25 and got to 30. And 30 was a little bit scary because I now realise that these numbers only went one way. And somebody teased me and said it was the big 3-0, and it's always the big something O whenever you get to one of those significant birthdays. And then I got to 40, big 4-0. Somebody talked about being middle-aged. It was a bit scary. The way I coped with the big 5-0 was by telling myself that at the big 6-0, the big 5-0 was going to look really young, so I might as well just get on with it. But I remember also at the big 5-0, I got to 53. I was standing in front of the bathroom mirror, and for the first time I saw lines on my face, and I saw grey hairs, and I was scared.
Wow, that only happened at 50. Lucky girl.
Hey, girl. And you have this brief moment in front of a mirror thinking, okay, surgery? No, I'm not doing that because I hate pain. Heavy amounts of makeup? Well, I can possibly do that, but I'm quite lazy. So, and you kind of have this, how am I going to deal with what is going on? Am I going to dye my hair? I really don't want to dye my hair. I'll never maintain it. And I just felt God over my shoulder. And he said, do you know what? I love the lines on your face, and I love your grey hairs, because they're a sign that you're getting closer to me. And I suddenly realised that I didn't become less precious to God as I got older. And what he then did is he said, and now you're ready. I have something for you to do. And our whole thing is going out and saying to the church, you have not finished. He has purpose for you, value for you, designs for you. You were made, created, perfect for this moment. And there are so many people that come up to us and say, okay, what can I do? What can I do? Look around you, brother. Look around you, sister. The world is full of things that need doing, and God will empower you to do them.
About lines on my face? Why should I worry about turning to grey? Why should I worry about the passing of days, when each one brings me closer to you? Why should I worry about the aches and the of life, the quickening of days? Why should I worry if my memory fades, when each day I'm getting closer to you, and I'm closer to you? As each day goes by, why should I worry when I'm part of your plan, and each step I take is safe in your hands, and I'm closer to you? I am dignified. fullness of time, when my Lord is at the end of the line, and I'm closer to you. Oh, 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 closer to you. Oh, my Lord. Why should I worry when day after day I'm always getting closer to you? Oh, closer to you. Oh, my Lord. Why should I worry when day after day I'm always getting closer to you?
Out of the Ashes, it's Kevin and Penny with me in the studio, UCB2. Penny, where can people get the music?
We have it's available on Amazon, it's available on iTunes. We also have a website. We love it when you contact us through our website. It makes us really happy. The web address is www.outoftheashesmusic, all one word, .uk. So that's www.outoftheashesmusic.uk. We're also on Facebook. We love it when people follow us on Facebook. And that is at Out of the Ashes Music. And we're also on Twitter at Uta_music. Uta being OOTA of Out of the Ashes. How
Right.
imaginative is that?
Uta.
At Uta_music.
Okay, love it. But I think a good place to start is probably the website, outoftheashesmusic.uk.
Yes, I think you're right.
And that's where you can get the music from. Otherwise, all good online stores as well. That is Out of the Ashes. Kevin and Penny with me today. So we're going to hear the song I Tipped Off the Table.
Yeah.
What is this all about?
Right, well, okay, there's me exhorting you all to go out into the world and go and do things for God. But actually, that's quite scary. And also, just as we cut in just after Kelly was reading the news, I was hearing him saying, you know, get out there and ministers for God and doing the brave stuff, the scary thing, telling somebody about your faith, all those scary things. And I am just as much not wanting to make a fool of myself and not wanting to cause embarrassment to somebody else by me embarrassing myself. All those things. I do it just as much as the next man. And I was in church when I was 22, I think I was. It was in Aylesbury. And I was listening to the sermon and enjoying being part in the worship music. And I felt this little nagging voice over my right shoulder, which is where God so often speaks to me from, saying, I want you to go and tell that girl over there, the other side of the church, that she is precious to me and I love her. And I didn't know this girl, but when I looked at her face, she had that look that said, don't come and talk to me. And I really didn't want to go and put my confidence on the line. I mean, I look back at it now and think, oh, for goodness sake, you lightweight. But at the time, it was huge. And he would say, go and tell her, go and tell her. And all the way through the service, I'm thinking, but maybe this is my imagination. Maybe you're not talking to me at all, God. I've just got this in my fanciful head. We all go through this stuff. And he's going, go and tell her, go and tell her I love her. And eventually I did a deal with God. I said, okay, I will do this, but you have got to confirm for me that I'm not just inventing this in my head. If you really want me to go and talk to her, you are going to have to give me some confirmation that that is your request. And so I asked him to, at the end of the service, just for a brief moment, her face was going to open and with a look that said, come and talk to me. And darn it, he did it. And you think, oh, for heaven's sake. And I've got to do it now, okay. And I went over to this girl and I was terrified. And she looked closed, she looked, she looked like trouble is the phrase. And I said, I'm really sorry to bother you. And I could be completely wrong here, but all the way through this service, God has been telling me to come and tell you that you are so precious to him and he really loves you. And I still get emotional thinking about it because I saw that girl's face dissolve into tears. And she told me that she'd arrived at church feeling that she was at her wit's end. She didn't know where to be, feeling that God was not going to welcome her, not going to love her. She had her words. She said, "I've got 2 children out of wedlock. My life is a complete mess. And here I am. And you've just said those words to me." And it is that moment when you've got your child, they're on the side of the swimming pool, and you're saying, come into my arms, I'll catch you. And they don't really want to jump the first time because, you're a parent, you can't really be trusted. And then eventually they tip into your arms and you catch them and they realise it's fun. And they want to do it again. And they do it again and again and again. And they start taking great leaps into your arms. And that's how we are with God. He says, come into my arms, I'll catch you. And when you do it, you realise it is one of the best things you've ever done in your life, just to tip off that table into his arms. And amazing things come from it. So that's what this song is about.
I tipped off the table into your waiting arms. A step of faith is all it takes, and the water's so warm. I tipped off the table when you were waiting there, suspended disbelief and just, and you caught me in midair. When I tipped off the table, I looked down at the floor. It seemed an awful long way down, and I really wasn't sure. When I tipped off the table, I might have closed my eyes, but you could see that I was scared, so you held me extra tight. A little trust was all it took, the step of faith. A ray of hope grown up in you, the step of faith. A little trust, a step of faith. A ray of hope, a step of faith. So I tipped off the table, and much to my surprise, I found tipping off into your arms is really awful nice. The table, I'll take a bigger jump. My confidence.
Well, we've run out of time. Out of the Ashes in the studio with me, Kevin and Penny. It's been just brilliant having you in the studio with me. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It's been an utter delight. We've met some lovely people today, so thank you.
You can find out more. You can book them on outoftheashesmusic.uk.
I tipped off the table. 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 I tipped off the table.
On DAB, on UCB Player, and online at ucb.com.